What's up, guys? So with the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 that is finally here, and we now have a total of 7 Mission Impossible films that are now out, and I feel like with this franchise, like, keeps it getting better and better. It's just, especially with the man Tom Cruise himself, who's always been making these movies better and better with every stunt that he pulls off, and even with the films that are good, and even with the ones that are not good as well. And so this will be my full ranking of all 7 Mission Impossible films, ranked from worst to best. And give you guys my thoughts on why I support it in my ranking, and so much more as well. And so if you're new to the channel and don't subscribe this, make sure to subscribe with the bell. So much on future videos. This is so. Let's get into it. Coming in at last place at number 7 is Mission Impossible 2, because I feel like with this film, this is probably my least favorite film in the franchise, because I was like interested in the first half of the movie, and plus with Ethan Hunt just like climbing up on the side of a massive being like that was breathtaking. But even throughout the rest of the movie, but it didn't even feel like a Mission Impossible movie, because they had this like uninteresting plot which I felt bored with like during the film, and even with that, so that there's like a romantic storyline, but even with so I think like I was like uninterested in the villain, even with like the last 30 minutes of the movie, and even with like John Woo, the director of the film, and the direction that he want to take with this film, and I find it to be like uninteresting. And plus, it was definitely action packed with like Ethan Hunt riding on a motorcycle to get away from the lab, and even with that, so especially as I love the hand-to-hand combat on the beach, and that's why I found this to be my least favorite Mission Impossible film. And next at number 6 is Mission Impossible from 1996, and this is the film that started it all by introducing Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. And I feel like with this film, that this felt like more like a paranoia spy thriller. And even though we had a Eugene Kittredge introduced, and even though we like angle shots that we see, especially between Ethan and Kittredge, and plus I love those angle shots as well. And even so, I felt like that this more like a spy thriller, and even with like on the train, like during the third act of the film, I thought it was awesome, and like one of the good stunts I've ever seen. But even with the entire like the plot of the film, even with the entire reverse, I found this movie to be pretty solid, but at the same time, it was really good. And next at number 5 is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Now, this is the film that Christopher McQuarrie attached to the era of the Mission Impossible films, and I feel like this is like a great action-packed film, especially from the start of the movie with Ethan Hunt hanging on to the side of the plane. I thought it was really breathtaking, and even thought that the rest of the film, which had great stunts with like Ethan being underwater for like a long time, and even with this motorcycle chase, and even I thought this felt like more like an Ethan and Benji's story, as we even see them in this car chase in Dubai. I thought it was pretty epic. And plus, we got Rebecca Ferguson introduced in the franchise, and even though with her, I thought it was like pretty great. And like even though with that, so because I feel like this had a more Benji plot involved in the story, but overall, I just really enjoyed this installment in the franchise. And next at number 4 is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And now I feel like that this is what really took the franchise to the next level, and the fact that this was directed by Brad Bird, who directed the Incredibles, and even within the opening minutes of the film with the present fight scene, and the way that I use technology in some way, even with either Hunter climbing onto the side of a building or with those gloves, I thought it was definitely breathtaking, and that's what really made this movie great. I'm pretty sure why everyone had like a fear of heights, so especially as he was climb onto the side of a building, and now that's what really took the franchise to the next level. Even though with the villain of the film, it was pretty forgettable at times, and even with my favorite sequence is of course with Ethan running in a sandstorm. I feel like that was one of my all-time favorite scenes, and even though that way got to see like so many Tom Cruise runs and it's for franchise, but I definitely like this like sequence even more, especially seeing like just running through the sandstorm, and even as it just got more insane. But even with that, as we had Jeremy Renner introduced in the franchise as well, but I feel like this is like my most favorite film, and it really took the franchise to the next level. And next at number 3 is Mission Impossible Fallout. And I feel like with this, I feel like this is like a great action movie, and the fact that we had Henry Cavill in this film alongside Ethan Hunt. And I like their chemistry in this film, especially with that crazy bathroom fight scene. And I feel like that was well choreographed and had great hand-to-hand combat, especially with this great motorcycle chase with Ethan Hunt trying to get away from the police. And I feel like that was like an insane and great motorcycle chase, especially with that helicopter chase in the third act with Ethan Hunt trying like chase Henry Cavill's character. And even the thought of the movie, I was really in a hotel from the start, especially with Ethan finding the plutonium before it falls into the wrong hands, and this had great action-packed scenes. You would either running in the sequence right here to chase down a walker, and even so, I thought this was the greatest scene of all time, especially in Fallout. And even so, we see him like breaking a window, and even at this like a chase with like his run, it goes on for so long, and this marks like the craziest scenes of all time. I feel like as I found this film like really great, and even so, this had like insane car chases, and even with like the dancing and helicopter chase, it totally made this a great film in the franchise. And next, at number 2 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Now, this is the film that is officially released, and the fact that this was Part 1 of the two-part story. And even I love it, everything about it from start to finish, with Ethan trying to find the key that unlocks his entity, and even involving AI, and even with Isaiah Morales, who I thought had like a great villainous role, and even with Haley Atwell, I really enjoyed her performance, and like the chemistry that actually has with Tom Cruise is really amazing. I love seeing these two on screen, and even with the highlight of the film is of course the car chase in Rome, which I found to be a pretty insane, and even with the motorcycle drama, which they marketed this movie for so long, it definitely paid off. Just like watching it on a big screen, the fact that I saw this in Adobe Cinema, and like the fact that it was a adrenaline rush to get to a motorcycle drama, it was like so epic, and even within like the last hour of the film, it totally blew me away. And even as I love the train sequence, and that was pretty mind-blowing as well. And the fact and they had to build an actual train, especially for that same sequence alone. Even the Palm Clement topic that was in the film, which I found to be a real awesome baddie, and even with everything else, I just really enjoyed. But coming in at number 1 is Mission Impossible 3. Now, I feel like this is one of the more better films, especially as this was directed by J.J. Abrams, and I even love the Philip Seymour Hoffman as a villain, and this actor and legend was gone too soon. And plus, this film had insane action from like the bridge sequence with these guys that are after Ethan Hunt, and like even with the stakes that are so high in this one, especially with Ethan trying to rescue his wife before she dies, and even I just love everything about it, especially with the Tom Cruise run in China in the third act, which I find to be insane. We got to see the Tom Cruise run in this one, and even with him like a sign off of buildings, and even like crashing through buildings. But I feel like this is one of the more better films that I've ever seen, and even with the villain in this film, that is even more terrifying. And yeah, so this is all my ranking of all the Mission Impossible films, and again, with this franchise, like, keeps getting better and better with each entry, and even with Tom Cruise, I love him as an actor, and even with the stunts that he pulls off, especially in all these 7 films, it keeps getting more insane and more crazier, as this man is in his 60s and still doing crazy like daredevil stunts like these, and even in this like a 7th entry alone, and in fact, as I love this films, and even with this franchise as a whole, as I truly love it, and in fact that I love the new one, and I can't wait for Dead Reckoning Part 2, and even so I just love this franchise so much. I can't wait to see it for what the story, especially for the next film as well. And so that is going to be it for this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and what thoughts on my ranking, and how would you rank all the Mission Impossible films. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe by turning on notifications for future videos, and you also follow my social, which are linked down below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.